Hey guys, Gozier plus back time more to your days. Now, this will be the last video that's draft related for a little bit because I've pretty much been doing exclusively draft content for a few weeks now. I think a couple. I don't think it's been 3 weeks since the draft. Probably or it's been like 1 week. Anyway, this will be the last draft video for a little while. Well, until my next mock draft, which is quite a ways away. But I did want to go back into history and grade the Falcons 2021 draft class. Now, my first ever video that was sports related on this channel was grading the Falcons 2022 draft class. The problem with that is this draft class I'm talking about was 4 drafts ago. It was this current draft, then the Penix draft, then the Bijan draft, then the Drake draft, then this draft. So basically 5 drafts ago. At the time of that video, which was 2 years ago, London only played for like 1 season. Because I made it 2 drafts ago, which was like Bijan, then Penix. So it was like after Bijan's first season, which that's not enough. That's 2 seasons to judge. And also the ranking sucks. All right, I gave Desmond Ridder a B plus, and I gave Drake London a B minus. Which, if by the way, we'll be regrading that draft class next year. Regrading it because that first video sucked. All right. I'm going a year back. I'm grading the 2021 draft class, which is the Kyle Pitts draft class. Then next year, I'll do Drake London's again. That's basically the gist of it. Let's get into this ranking. Also, it's not based on, just like all my other videos, it's not entirely based off of how good they are. It's also where they were picked, who was picked behind them, and the round. All right, let's go. Starting, of course, with the 4th pick in the NFL draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. I'm not going to be able to do that for every pick because I don't know every pick's college. But Kyle Pitts is a quality starter for Atlanta, but at least 6 players drafted in the next 10 picks are far and away better. Rashawn Slater, he's a better tackle than Pitts' tight end, let's be honest. And then Jamar Chase and Michael Parsons are both pretty obvious. So I counted the next 10 picks. I can't exactly remember what the next 10 were, but there was I said, okay, at least 6 of these next 10 are just better than Kyle Pitts as a player. Jalen Waddle was one that I decided wasn't too obvious yet because he's not crazy good either. But either way, the thing is that if Kyle Pitts was the 8th pick in the draft, just like London and Bijan, and Penix too, right? I literally would not complain. I would have no complaints. But Kyle Pitts was the 4th pick in the draft. When you're the 4th pick in the draft, when you're a top 5 pick, you're expected to be top 5 at your position by this year, which we're in right now, which we'll be heading into Kyle Pitts' 5th season. He played the season with Matt Ryan, the season with Mariota and Ridder, which was drastically worse, the season with just Ridder, which I think the Mariota and Ridder season got hurt, and then the season with just Ridder and Heineke too, and then this season. So he'll be heading into year 5. He's a top 15 tight end, top 10 maybe. He's not top 5, especially for a position like the tight end. If you pick them this early, you want them to be the best tight end in the NFL. He's not even close to that right now. And then along with how many great picks were picked after him, I can't give Pitts too high of a rating, but I also can't give him too low of a rating because at the end of the day, Pitts is a starter on most NFL teams. He still has a lot of time. He's still a great player. We've seen flashes of Kyle Pitts that we haven't seen from any other tight end in the NFL. We've seen athleticism that we haven't seen from any other tight end in the NFL. Questions are, does he have the drive that other players do? Can he stay healthy? And I think with Penix, we could see a new side of Kyle Pitts we haven't seen since Matt Ryan. But for now, I'm going to give it a B minus, which isn't bad. It's one of the better grades on this draft. Which, disclaimer, this is Terry Fontenot's first draft, so don't give him too much. Give him a little bit of slack here, all right? But yeah, his first pick for Kyle Pitts gets a B minus. With the 2nd pick, 40th pick in the 2024. Oh man, let me lock in. With the 40th pick in the 2021 NFL draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Richie Grant, safety out of UCF. Richie Grant made a couple of plays in his career, but he was never anything special. He wasn't even a great pick at the time because I wanted Trevon Merrick, who's with the Raiders. I don't think he's very good either, but he's not on the cheaper 1-year deal with San Francisco. And to be fair, the 2nd round wasn't that good in general. The 2nd round of the 2021 NFL draft was really bad. I don't remember there being many great players there at all. But even so, Richie Grant is not a good football player. He's got some ball hawk in him. He's got a couple interceptions. I think he has like probably 3-4 interceptions in his career as a Falcon. He's a good hitter, but the Falcons have a lot of those in the secondary. That's not really a special thing for us anymore. And even when the pick was made, I wanted Trayvon Merrick. That's what I thought we were going to grab there because he fell a lot farther than I thought he would. He was my favorite safety in the second round. Then we picked Grant, and I wasn't that happy about that. I mean, to be fair, I was younger back then, so I didn't know nearly as much about football as I do now, especially not about the draft. But, I mean, neither of them panned out that well, but I just didn't see... I wasn't excited for Grant. I was like, well, we do need safety. And then Grant started like 1 year, and then since then he's kind of just been floating around being a rotational defensive back. Never did anything special for us. Of course, it's a second-round pick, so you don't have as high expectations as you do for somebody like Kyle Pitts. But even then, it's an early second-round pick. It's a pretty good opportunity to get a great player, and Richie Grant didn't really pan out. Now, you can tell he's not good because he signed a 1-year deal with San Francisco, and it wasn't even a lot of money. He's probably never going to be anything crazy in the NFL, but it wasn't the worst pick just because, first of all, there wasn't many great second-round options later because like the second round wasn't that great, and he technically did some things for the Falcons. I'm giving this draft pick a C+. With the 68th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Jalen Mayfield, a guard out of Michigan. Almost everyone else in the third round who was picked would have been better than Jalen Mayfield. This was an absolutely terrible pick. And the sad thing is, I liked Jalen Mayfield because I think in my mock I had him going like early to mid-second round. So seeing him go in the third round, even though it was pretty early in the third round, I mean, pretty late in the third, pretty early in the third round. I don't know why I said late. Even though it was pretty early in the third round, I kind of forgot about Jalen Mayfield because I kind of forgot about him because I thought he was going to be picked much earlier. He ended up being picked by us. I was very happy about this. I thought Jalen Mayfield was going to be a great pick and a great option at guard. He ended up never doing anything. He was bad. He started a lot of games with us, but it's because we had no better options. Now we have Matthew Bergeron, who's actually a good player at guard, and you can see the huge difference. And Mayfield also had this weird thing where, like, during the Georgia-Michigan game, despite being a Falcon, he like, openly cheered for Michigan, which there's nothing wrong with that. It was just kind of funny because Falcons fans didn't like him for that one reason. And because he sucked. Like, that's two good reasons. I give him this pick an F because the third round was pretty decent in the 2021, so there's a lot of better options. And Mayfield might be the worst offensive lineman I've ever watched play football, at least for the Falcons, because he is really bad. Of course, Evan Neal's giving him a run for his money, but maybe the most surprising thing about all this is that he's still in the NFL. He's a backup for the Giants. I mean, I know it's the Giants, but being on the NFL roster is honestly commendable. I don't know how he's on the team. But yeah, this pick sucked. With the 108th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Darren Hall, a defensive back. I don't know his college. And I won't know anyone else's college, I don't think. Well, no, I know, like, one of the next guy's colleges. But Darren Hall wasn't bad, but he wasn't good either. He was always kind of there as, like, a fourth string. Not always, but he was there. He's actually still in the NFL. Of course, I couldn't spell the word still right. I actually remember him. I think he had a really good preseason in, like, his first or second season, which is really the only reason I really remember him. He had a really good preseason. He's still a backup with the Cardinals, so he's definitely good enough to stay on your roster. And I wouldn't be mad if he was still a backup for Atlanta. But that's the third pick in a row for Terry Fontenot that isn't still on the team after 4 seasons, which isn't crazy, but also not great. Like, your second, third, and fourth round picks so far are all not on the Falcons anymore and also aren't good players. The reason I'm giving this a C- is because, first of all, it's in the 4th round, and he's actually a better player than Jalen Mayfield, so he got better value by far, but still can't give him that high, because not only did he not stay with the Falcons, he also didn't really do that much with the Falcons. I mean, it's not a terrible pick, but also, like, you're not moved by this at all. It's not like a steal or anything. With the 114th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Drew Dahlman, a center. Dalton's one of the best players picked in the 2021 fourth round. Of course, when you think about this round, you probably think about Amon-Ra St. Brown. But, I mean, Drew Dalton's right up there. Of course, he's not nowhere near the level. I'm saying, like, he's like an A-tier pick for the fourth round. He got a nice contract and will start for the Bears in 2025. He would have been an A pick if he either stayed with the Falcons or wasn't so injury-prone. The thing is, Drew Dalton was a great center. When he came in and took Matt Hennessy's job, you could already tell because Hennessy was in there for a year or two longer, and he just got his chain immediately snatched by Drew Dalton. Dalton had a good couple of seasons with us when he was starting. Problem is, he got hurt 2 times last year. He got hurt in like week 2 or something, or maybe it was week 1 against the Steelers. Newsel came in, was pretty worse, but also wasn't terrible. Dalton came in, got his job back for a little bit, then got hurt again, and then Newsel closed out the season. Dalton's a really good center. I'm sure if he didn't get hurt, the Falcons would have done something to be able to afford bringing Dalton back. But with the injury issues and Newsel really kind of improving as the season went on, we decided to let Dalton go. This is a great 4th round pick, and you could tell because he got a pretty decent contract to start with the Bears. Problem is, he was injury prone, and he's not on the team anymore. By the way, I think like only one of these players after Kyle Pitts is still on the team. But I give Dalton a B+ because I don't care if you don't stay on our team after 4 years. If you're good for those 4 years, I'm still going to give you a good grade. I mean, you can't complain about what we got out of Drew Dalton for those 4 seasons, especially for being a mid-4th round pick. With the 148th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Taquan Graham, defensive lineman out of Texas. I remember that one. Graham has managed to stay on our roster up to this point, but he hasn't gotten much time, and even if he wasn't producing either. His time should be coming to an end soon. I think the main reason Graham is still on the Falcons is because we rotate our D-linemen really consistently because we don't have any studs who stay on the field the whole time. So Graham was managing to get a little bit of snaps each game, which kept him on the roster. He's probably just slightly better than the other guys who we ended up putting either on the practice squad or straight up cutting. But now with like adding Leonard Floyd, Morgan Fox, and 2 defensive linemen in the draft, I'd just be surprised if Taquan Graham did enough to make the roster. So I'm expecting him to be cut sometime during the preseason or even during camp. He just wasn't ever good. The reason I give him a C is because, well, he's still on the team. He's doing something right. So if we think he's valuable enough as a 5th rounder to be on the team 5 years in the future, then clearly the pick wasn't that bad, even if he hasn't really produced. There's got to be some reason he's still on the team, but all these other guys who were picked around him aren't. I mean, but you still can't give it higher than the C because what has he really done? Nothing. He hasn't done anything for our team. He just managed to stay here. Fun fact, in my first episode of Madden 22 Falcons franchise, I accidentally cut him and I was like, well, I guess he's gone. That's why the first episode was named Taquan Gone, because I accidentally cut him during preseason, and he never recovered from that. But Falcons ended up keeping him for long term, which is the only reason this draft pick is even noteworthy. With the 182nd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Falcons selected Aid Ogundeji, edge rusher, out of, I'm not sure, but is he even an edge rusher? He might just be a D lineman. He's kind of small for a pure D lineman, though, but, I mean, anyway. Ogundeji actually had a few sacks for us, but is no longer on the team. Like, he's like 3 or 4 career sacks for the Falcons. He barely got on the field. When he did, he's at least producing more than Taquan Graham did. He's now just a free agent, and I'm honestly surprised if he will make a team. When you get cut as a late-round pick who also didn't do anything crazy, it's going to be hard for him to make a team. I expect him in a lower NFL league, or, I mean, not a lower football league, or just out of the league soon. He's still technically a free agent for the NFL, though, so maybe someone will pick him up during training camp. The reason this gets the same grade as Graham, even though he's not on the team, is because while he was on the team, he did way more than Graham. He was a better player. Ogundeji is actually decent. Like, honestly, if I was a team and I just needed more players to fill out the roster, I'd consider Ogundeji. We've seen what he can do, even with no help. So, I'd sign him, but I can't give him a high grade because he never had more than, I think, 2 sacks in the season, and he's also gone. So I think that kind of evens him out with a C, just like Taquan Graham, even though they're C for different reasons. With the 183rd pick, so right after Ogundeji, in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Avery Williams, cornerback. Now, if if I were to tell Falcons fans who didn't watch this draft that Avery Williams, who played running back, sometimes slot receiver, and kick returner for the Falcons, was actually a cornerback, they wouldn't believe me. Avery Williams has been a sort of jack of all trades. He had a good yards per carry when he played running back, and is a good kick returner as well. He was a great value pick, and I hope he continues to improve with the Eagles. Williams played running back, I think, during the Cordell Patterson season when Mike Davis got hurt. He can also run routes decently well, and he was our kick returner for 2 seasons, which I think first year kick returning he kind of sucked, but this year that just happened, he was actually a good kick returner for us. He was pretty consistent. I'm happy with what Avery Williams did for us, but now he's gone. I think you could see, you will see Ray McCloud and Jamal Agnew probably as our return men, but I think Ray McCloud is just going to move to pure receiver, and Agnew will be our return man, which basically makes Avery Williams an empty spot. Like, there's just no reason for him to be on the team anymore. And now he's on the Eagles, which he probably will be returning for the Eagles. They signed him in free agency, not late, so clearly they have an intended role for him. He'll probably be successful. He's not a bad kick returner at all. He's never able to break loose, but I'm giving this a B because for the 5th round, drafting a guy who started at kick returner really isn't bad, and for multiple years, and was a quality backup. Like, there's no complaints about this pick. So, a B is the second highest grade in this entire draft. So, it's a good pick. It was a good pick, even though he's also another player who's not on the Falcons anymore. With the 187th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Frank Darby, wide receiver. We, the Falcons fans, had high expectations for the Falcons' final pick, but he didn't live up to them, and he's been out of the league for a while now. He's in some other smaller league. I'm not really sure what it is. I don't really care. I don't even know if he's been productive in it. Darby never even made the roster. He was always a preseason guy who just went to the practice squad, and we kept re-signing and putting on the practice squad until we got rid of him, I think, 2 years ago. Of course, I don't know why people were excited about him, but we were. I heard that he actually had potential, so I started to jump on that bandwagon, and it never resulted in anything. Even for a 6th-round pick, I have to give it a D because he's been worse than both Taquan Graham and Ogundeji. At least both of them are in the league. Matter of fact, the only guys who aren't in the league, I think, out of this group, actually, I know he's the only one. Williams is on the Eagles. Ogundeji's still a free agent. Graham's still on the Falcons. Dalman's on the Bears. Hall is on the Cardinals. Mayfield's on the Giants. Grant's on the 49ers. And, of course, Pitts. So he's the only one who's not in the league, which effectively makes him the worst pick. And, you can't really blame the front office for a 6th-round pick not panning out. I'm not mad at this or anything. It just sucks because we had a lot of hopes for Frank Darby. The final ranking for the draft is a C+. Not bad for Terry's first draft, but only one player is a current starter. You don't really want one guy you drafted in a draft class to be a current starter. Even if it's 5 years in the future. And even if you want to count, like, Richie Grant's 1 year as a starter, or Mayfield's or Dalman's, they weren't ever long-term starters, because Dalman kept getting hurt, and Mayfield and Grant weren't good, so they didn't deserve it. They were more starters because we had no one better, not because they were actually good at their jobs. C+ isn't terrible. We've seen worse drafts. But, like, what does this draft class do for us in 2025? Nothing. One player is relevant for this team in 2025, and that's Kyle Pitts. I know it's his first draft, but it's not great. This is one of the reasons people hate Terry all over the internet, because of this draft class. This is one of the worst ones. No, this is just his worst draft class by far. Just looking in the future, we've got the Drake London draft class where we also got Evan Katie. Those are 2 starters already. And then you've got Bijan, which I think Bijan beats out this entire draft class. And then I think Penix's draft class could be so, but that's been 1 year. You can't really be too sure. And then I'm expecting this year's draft class to be better than this one as well. It's his first and probably his worst, but I think next year we're going to talk about the 2022 draft class with hopefully a lot more gusto. Tell you what you guys think about this draft class in the comments. Stay tuned for different types of content that isn't draft related. See you guys next time.